Harp on Sports, the Bar, podcast, media, audio, and radio network. What do we have in store for you on this edition of the program? Our NFL nuptials. We get married to the 2023 season. What we think is going to happen. Not what we think. It's Harp on Sports. What we know is going to happen. Our predictions. Everything. From division winners, your wild card winners, your defensive player of the year, your MVP, and your Super Bowl champ. Got a hint for you. My Super Bowl champ hasn't won one in a couple decades. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Going to get to that coming up. What else do we have in store for you? A little quarterback quick pick. It's like that movie with Bryan Cranston where they big bet on the lottery, buy a bunch of lottery tickets because they know they can turn a decent profit. Not a gigantic profit, but a decent profit. They do it so much, they make so much money. Well, this is like the incremental load that a quarterback salary goes up. Over the course of the last 10 months, we have seen 6 new contracts doled out. Patrick Mahomes is still the $450 million 10-year dude. Everybody else is signing 5-year contracts. What's next for the quarterback quick picks? And last but not least, a little SEC stash of cash. Kim Mulkey, the basketball coach at LSU, signs a 10-year, $30+ million deal. So LSU now has $160 million tied in 3 coaches. But, NIL is ruining college sports. Player greed. The student athletes asking for a couple $100,000. Ruining college sports. Joe Manchin, Tommy Tuberville, where's the legislation on this? Bunch of hypocrites. All right, Harp on Sports, the Bar podcast, audio, media, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports, Twitter at Harp on Sports, Instagram, Harp on Sports, Auditory Route, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Harp on Sports Facebook page, Harp on Sports, the YouTube channel, and of course, harponsports.com. Let's do our little NFL nuptials. Again, in my 40s, never been married. So let's get married to the NFL season, shall we? Looking at this. And I'm going to go through this, and it's going to be very clean, very precise, very accurate of what I think is going to happen. Now, look, I know full disclosure, we already have a game under our belts, the Chiefs and the Lions. Doesn't affect what I'm about ready to do here. It really, really doesn't. Although, you go back and look at my tweets the last few days, the Chiefs have been pretty lucky when it comes to the injury bug, with the exception of the Super Bowl against the Bucs. Now, no Chris Jones. Now, Travis Kelce's hurt. Also, what do? You lose 2 starting offensive linemen. Frank Clark is gone. As I do my predictions, I'm telling you the Chiefs aren't going to win the Super Bowl. I do have them still winning their division, though. So let's start off with the AFC. I have the Chiefs winning the West and the Chargers once again winning a wild card. So the Chiefs win the West. I have the Chiefs going 11-6. I think they take a step back. In the North, now, look, everybody I'm not mentioning here is not going to make the playoffs. In the North, I like the Bengals to win the North, and I like the Ravens to win a wild card. So I've just taken 4 of your 7 slots in the NFC with those teams. Chiefs win the West. Chargers win a wild card. Ravens win a wild card. Bengals win the South. Boom, boom. The North. The South, the Jaguars are going to win. That is a 1 playoff division. 1 playoff team division. The Jags win that division. In the East, I've got Buffalo and I've got the Jets. The Jets have so much talent. You had Aaron Rodgers. I know he had a down year last year, but give me the Jets in the East. So, your AFC structure, your division winners, the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Jaguars, and the Bills. Pretty much status quo in here from where we were a season ago. Your wild card teams. Dun, 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 dun. The Ravens, Chargers, Jets. So who do I have exiting stage right that was in here last year? I mean, come on. I don't see anybody. Look, the Dolphins were a nice story last year, but I too many injuries, too many questions, and the AFC's loaded. When we get to the NFC, you kind of look down there in the wild card and go, man, what's going on here? But I've got the Finns on the outside looking in. When it's all said and done, I like the Bengals to get back to the AFC Championship game. and lose to the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are heading back to the Super Bowl. So the Buffalo Bills take down the Cincinnati Bengals. There is your AFC Championship game. And if you really want to get finicky and tricky, what happens? Fine, let's have a little fun with it. The Bills over the Jaguars and the Bengals over the Chiefs, if you really want to go into that. I'm not going to do predictions of each game. It's just, yeah. But there you go. Bills beat the Bengals, AFC Championship game. Looking over the NFC. This is my Harp on Sports NFL Nuptials continue. The West, like the Niners and the Seahawks. Seahawks have a lot of talent. I think they may take a little bit of a step back, but it's Niners division. Niners win that sucker. Seahawks finish second. In the North, I like the Lions to win, with the Vikings winning a wild card. So again, 4 teams coming out of the North and the West when it comes to division winners and wild cards. The South, Saints, one trick pony, one team out of the South. And in the East, give me the Cowboys as your division winner and the Eagles as your wild card. So, Cowboys in the East, Saints in the South. In the North, Lions. In the West, the Niners. Niners, Lions, Saints, boys, wild card. Eagles. Seahawks, Vikings. When it's all said and done, like the Dallas Cowboys to beat the San Francisco 49ers and head back to the Super Bowl. So, how about that? We've got a Cowboys Bills Super Bowl. Tell you who's going to win that coming up. Just some accolades, some awards that I think as you look at the season. Coach of the Year. I don't want to do like Executive of the Year, but, MVP. My MVP is Dak Prescott. He's still got another year before he can void his contract. I'm going to get to quarterback contracts coming up. But Dak Prescott is my MVP. Micah Parsons is my defensive MVP, both on the same team. I'm in on the Cowboys. I'm in, gang. I'm in. Been 30 years since they won a Super Bowl, 29. I'm in on the Cowboys. Cowboys win the Super Bowl over the Buffalo Bills. There you go. Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons. It's a Cowboys year. How about them, Cowboys? Rookie of the Year, Bryce Young. He's going to start. And I know running backs have a little fun, but here's why I like Bryce Young. He's in a weak division. He gets 6 games against the Saints, the Falcons, and the Bucks. That's why. And the Panthers. I think the Panthers are good enough to compete a little bit. I mean, they're staring down the barrel of 7-10, but where they were last year and the fact that they were close at the end of the year and you add Bryce Young, and I just like him as I do. And I look around like C.J. Stroud in Houston. I don't know if there's enough pieces there to do enough damage. And Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis, I know with Taylor out, there's not enough pieces there. So quarterback-wise, that's what I'm doing. There's where I'm going. Bryce Young, Rookie of the Year. Dak Prescott, MVP. Micah Parsons, Defensive MVP. Cowboys over the Bills. Super Bowl champs. So, Coach of the Year. Who's Coach of the Year in this fray and this ugliness and this, oh my gosh, what a mess of a year. What would you say? Mike McCarthy? If the Saints make the playoffs, maybe that route? No. I think it's Dan Campbell, head coach of the Lions. Dan Campbell, head coach of the Lions. Coach of the Year in the National Football League, because they're going to win their division, and they may even win a playoff game this year. How about that? So there you go. All right, so that's my rundown of the year, what I think is going to happen, where I think teams stack themselves up. I'm a Chiefs fan, but as I told you, you can't lose this many players. It's tough to win championships and build dynasties in this modern era. You got to let guys go. When the Patriots were at the beginning height of their 3 out of 4 year run there, they had to let the Asante Samuels go. They had to let the Ty Laws go. They had to let some of these guys walk. They had to look around and go, okay, what are we going to do here? And then a little bit later on, they had to let the Wes Welkers walk and had to go with the Julian Edelmans. They had to change things up. They had to keep finding places and pieces. Last year was supposed to be the Chiefs' rebuild. It worked perfectly. Frank Clark's gone. Chris Jones is holding out. Travis Kelce is hurt. Kadarius Toney. I mean, opening night should have been brought to you by Orville Redenbacher with how much butter he had on his fingers. Brutal. Brutal. Well, the Chiefs dropped 12 passes. Different story for a different podcast. But there you go. That's what I like in my NFL nuptials. Dun, 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 dun. Cowboys. Super Bowl champs. Okay. From that to this. Joe Burrow, Bengals. 5 years, $275 million. Now the highest paid quarterback per year at $55 million. What we got, Justin Herbert just got done at 5,262, so he was at 53. Now you have Joe Burrow at 55. And I know Dak Prescott's got another year, and then it voids after, is it 25 that his voids? He'll be 31, 32 at the time. Does he get a 5-year, 275 deal? Don't know. But if anybody may get a monster deal like that next, it'll be him just because of when it's due. He and Trevor Lawrence about the same time. So I went through and I looked at this, and I just went through and looked at some of the numbers. Jalen Hurts got 5 just in the last 9 months. Jalen Hurts 5,255. Justin Herbert 5,262. I mentioned Joe Burrow 5,275. Let's not forget that, Jared Allen Josh Allen 6,248. When it's 6,248, 40 million plus, and that looks like a bargain. I mentioned Mahomes at 10,450. Lamar Jackson just got what? In the mid 240s, 250s as well. So all these guys, Daniel Jones, all these guys are getting 230, 240, $250 million contracts. The fact that you are now to the point where Joe Burrow's at 255 or 275 at $55 million a year, excuse me. The next guys up, or the next guys that have a chance to eclipse this are, I mentioned Dak Prescott, if they tear that up and do that again with 1 year left. And it's Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence. Those are the next two up. Jordan Love, maybe not. But he's entering year 4. Trevor Lawrence is entering year 3 as the starting quarterback of the Jags, but Jordan Love's entering year 4. So if he has a good year in Green Bay, does Green Bay trot out $250 million for him? The Giants did with Daniel Jones. Would the Packers do the same? I don't know. I'm just telling you the guys that have the opportunity to eclipse that $275 million threshold. I think it's going to be Trevor Lawrence. I think if Jordan Love has a good year, you'd see them give him it'd be between that and like the Geno Smith type of deal, 5,220, something like that maybe. You may see something like that. With what Kyler Murray just got, you're going to have some teams that are a little gun shy with only 1 year. But good gracious. Trevor Lawrence, Mahomes at 10 years, 450 at $45 million per. That's $10 million less on average right now. Patrick Mahomes, $10 million less. And I went through and looked at this too. Let's not forget with Cincinnati, and this is why it's going to be tough for them to win going forward. Burrow just gets his $55 million. Remember, Mahomes is kicked in last year. The Bengals have to sign Jamar Chase. Devontae Adams, 5 years, $140. A little over a year ago. $140 for Devontae Adams. Jamar Chase is going to get at least that. So the Bengals are going to have over $400 million. The Bengals are going to have $450 million tied up in their receiver and their quarterback. The Chiefs are going to have a good chunk of money tied up, but they're going to have that money tied up in their tight end. But Travis Kelce makes $100 million less contract-wise. Travis Kelce's contract is $90 million less than Devontae Adams. Jamar Chase. That's why if you're going to build a team, you build a tight end because you can use the tight end as the main facet, because the tight end you can pay about $7 to $10 million less than you pay marquee wide receivers. It's all about structuring. That's why dynasties don't exist in the NFL anymore. Tough. You got to let guys go. We'll see where it goes. But with all these quarterback deals, to me, the next one that's almost guaranteed is Trevor Lawrence. But the Trevor Lawrence one doesn't have to be done. A year from now, they could still be talking about this. Trevor Lawrence, they could be getting done a week before the start of next NFL season. But Jordan Love could be getting done if they choose to go down that path. Dak Prescott a year from now. 2024, they could tear that up and redo that one. And those are the next big three. A lot of these contracts don't expire for a while, a couple years here. And like the Ryan Tannehills, there's nobody coming up the pipeline. Jalen Hurts, I forgot about Jalen Hurts' massive deal too, 5.255. So Jalen Hurts 5.255, Herbert 5.262, Burrow 5.275. What's your next one going to be? Okay, if he's making 55, what's 58 million a year? 5.290. The next one's going to be Trevor Lawrence, right? If they want to do Trevor Lawrence, which they don't have to do, and why would you do it? You still can stockpile a bunch of money, throw it into this year, and next year you can do Trevor Lawrence. 5.290. Patrick Mahomes must be looking around going, man, I did 10.450. These guys are all getting. These guys are going to get two. You're going to get 530, 540 if they do two of these deals. 560, 570 where I got Funk. Okay. He's making a lot of money with endorsements, but still. QB cash. But you're seeing why it's tough for the Chiefs going forward. All this money tied up in Mahomes and tied up in other guys. Got to let guys go. Had to cut Frank Clark. Lost 2 offensive linemen, right? Lost 2 offensive linemen, including Orlando Brown. Chiefs had a lot of penalties. It's just the structure of it. Okay. Wanted to wrap with a little SEC stash. Kim Mulkey gets a 10-year, $32 million deal. Good for her. I'll give LSU credit. They pay. Brian Kelly, Mike McMahon, boom. Kim Mulkey, boom. They pay money. They understand college sports are a business. Student athlete. No, it's not. It's coach, athlete, student, CAS. Actually, it's coach, athlete, student, humility, because you have to be full of it to deliver that. See, Uncle Seth's still pretty good on the fly here. Cash, coach, then athlete, then student, then hubris. What? Onk. Horse something. Yeah. Horse shit would be better. But that's what it is. Coach, athlete, student, horse shit. Because it's a line. It's a joke. Here's the thing. LSU's got, what? 32 tied up in Mulkey. 20.3 tied up in McMahon. $100 million tied up in Brian Kelly. So LSU has forked over $150 million on 3 coaches. But please tell me how NIL deals are ruining college sports. You'd have to be just insane to sit here and look me in the eye and say $150 million tied up with 3 coaches, and Joe Manchin and Tommy Tuberville are in D.C. having a tickle fight over we need to create NIL legislation. It's out of control. It's out of control. LSU just forked over $150 million on 3 coaches. Spare me. Out of control. Please tell me how the 18 to 22-year-olds are ruining college sports when college commissioner or conference commissioners are raiding other conferences in the middle of the night. Let's face it. What the Big 12 and the Big 10 and the ACC just did to the Pac-12 is Seward's Folly, the Louisiana Purchase, all those rolled into one. They just robbed them. They stole. Grand larceny. Fine, it's the cost of doing business. If you want to say that, that's fine. But boy, you have to be a hypocrite. Cash, college, then athletes. Excuse me. Why do I say college? Coaches, then athletes, then their students, and then that's all horse shit because it's all about monopolizing the cash flow of this, raiding conferences, stealing teams, building brands to make it bigger, building electronic footprints, making more money, more cash, more money, more cash, more money, cash money, cash money. It's the athlete's fault for transferring schools every year.
I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Did you try
See?
again?
Even Siri says that's enough. Geez, I've never understood how sports fans can live vicariously through these 18 to 22-year-olds. Go follow them recruiting when they're 15 or 16 years old. Live your life through them. Have these these college presidents and athletic directors, university move conferences and steal teams for more money all across the board and then turn around and go, how dare that 18-year-old not like where he is and want to go somewhere else? His fault. Same thing like when people blame poor people in food stamps for their plight of society. I always do this with those people. It's like, oh, it's food stamps, a bunch of freeloaders. You want to switch places with them? No? You don't want to go down to the store with your EBT card and buy cheap products? Attacking athletes. Go after the real people that matter. The corruption's at the top. Harp on Sports, the bar, podcast, media, audio, radio network. Follow, share, like, subscribe at Harp on Sports Twitter, at Harp on Sports Instagram, Harp on Sports Facebook page, Harp on Sports the YouTube channel. Of course, you can check us out, Harp on Sports the auditory route, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Of course, harponsports.com. Check it out. Remember, Super Bowl champs, Cowboys, over the Bills. Dak Prescott is your MVP. That's what happens by NFL Nuptials for the 2023-2024 season. Remember, stay clean, stay focused, stay strong. Frankenstein. Have fun with your friends.